What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, Friendship is Magic, as we will be reviewing My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria, published by Renegade Game Studios, designed by Dan Blanchett and T.C. Petty III. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
Well, first, we'd like to thank Renegade Games for this review copy. We appreciate the support of the channel, and we'd like to remind our viewers that our opinions will remain our own. So this is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and above, and plays in about 60 minutes. I think the box says 45 to 60 minutes, but...
Actually, it says 45 to 90, and I do think it can go up to that 90-minute mark. We've only been playing it at the 2-player count, which actually goes very quickly. So I do think you can keep it at that low player count, but some higher player count games may run a little bit longer. Now, just to clarify and tell you what you'll be doing in My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria, well, you're going to be moving around the map, and you're going to be doing that to take advantage of the different locations and some of the tasks you can complete to gain bonuses. They'll give you different rewards such as sugar cubes, some bankable tokens that you're going to be able to use to get more resources. But of course, first and foremost, this is a deck building game, so you're going to be acquiring different types of cards from the middle, from artifacts that will stay in play, from allies, like even the princess of the My Little Ponies, who's got some really cool abilities, and then different actions to improve your deck in order to deal with the different hindrances that are currently on the board, and to eventually overcome the final challenge before it is overcome with cloud cover. So once this is covered, all the clouds will go here, and as your situation progresses and gets more and more dire, well, you're gonna have to pay more to do specific things because it's just getting ugly. And that's unfortunate. But you're going to be working together cooperatively using the power of friendship to save the day. Because when you're trying to complete these challenges, other players will be able to assist you. And when situations come out of the deck, which will also be affecting you negatively, other players can use tokens that they have banked in order to be able to assist you in getting those out of there before they negatively affect the final challenge. Did I miss anything at all, Julie?
No, I think you got it covered.
Oh, just one last thing. The ponies have asymmetric abilities, so they all play a little differently. On that note, we're now going to grab our drink, grab our best friend, take it to the table.
One more
time. So now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria. So I'll start with the rule book. On the back, you do have a nice example of the turn sequence and how you play the game, reference to the icons. At the front of the book here, you've got a nice explanation of the content, the cards, what the deluxe cards are, just some of the different tokens that we've got. So knowledge cubes, work cubes, friendship cubes, and then the layout looks pretty good. The font is a little small, but in terms of the amount of pages that you get in this rulebook compared to the ones for G.I. Joe, Transformers, it looks like it's not going to be that difficult to grasp. So we'll start with the ponies themselves, and I don't know all of them. Julie's definitely the fan of the franchise, but I don't think she's watched it in quite a while. So we got Rainbow Dash on the starting side. She's got her special ability. So they each have a starting side special ability. Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Fluttershy, Applejack, and you'll notice that you do have their flip side, so you get pay 1 of each resource to flip this character back over. So you have this special ability, but you have to then flip them back over. Now, each pony also has their own unique starting card, which will generate different resources for them. So help and move. Here we get help and info, +2 info if you control an artifact. So these are asymmetric and will add some nice variety to your gameplay. Now you've got the tokens for all of the different ponies, the standees. And we've got all 6 characters. They look good. I can't say that they're fantastic. I definitely prefer the ones in Transformers. I just think there's a lot more art and detail to them. So in this case here, we've got some of these larger cards which represent the final challenges and the hurdles. So we have the 4 final challenges with different levels. Nightmare Moon, just who does she think she is, Best Night Ever, and the diamond dogs. And then we've got the different hurdles that must be overcome, with different levels as well. So quite a few of these, and they're going to be a large part of what you're dealing with when you're playing the game. And then just have the tokens that you can use to track your different bonuses that you get. So +2 knowledge, +2 move, +3 help. And you'll notice just at the top of each card, you'll be trying to spend different resources, including move and info, to potentially acquire them. We've got all the gray cards, which represent the starting deck. So as you can see, you get, sorry, that one's probably in the back there, yes. Working together gives you 2 help. Why do you need it? Sorry, what you need is organization, 2 info. A good clean race. It's a starter card. Not quite sure what that one does. Haven't gone fully through the rulebook yet. And then Helpful. Tow Pony gives you 1 help. And that's what you're going to be starting the game with. Then there's other cards you can acquire, different types. We've got allies that you can get that'll let you do some cool stuff. Gain a +2 move token, which is pretty cool. Student gain a +2 knowledge token, +2 help. So all these different allies, some of the big ones like Princess Celestia. You may put this card in adventure row, in the adventure row discard pile to remove 3 from the active hurdle or final challenge. So some really cool stuff that you can do with all the allies. Some are ponies, some are other characters. And you get the idea as to why you may be, you'll be looking to acquire them. You got some of the big artifacts. Don't forget, you pay the cost that's there. So these artifacts all require help. Ongoing, draw 6 cards at the end of your turn. Instead of 5 on your turn, you may move this card from the game to gain 2 of the friendship cubes. So pretty cool stuff. Artifacts will give you some nice ongoing effects. And there's one thing I know from playing a lot of deck builders, ongoing effects can be really good. Then we've got these different action cards. So cost 2 move, but will let you generate 2 knowledge. To move, and then you may return the first sugar cube to the supply to remove 1 from the active hurdle, or 1 cloud token from the active hurdle or final challenge. So you get the idea what some of these actions are going to do. Maybe just a base upgrade or upgrade with a little bit more to it. So that's, see, these generate cubes. That's probably what I was missing in the starters. Let me just lift these up and see. Oh no, it's 1 move. I see it now. I guess it just wasn't quite clear when I was looking at it originally. Then we've got different situations. So during your end phase, you must add 1 cloud to the final challenge. So these are bad stuff, cloudy days that come out, and they're going to make the final challenge and those hurdles more difficult to get rid of. You can resolve them. So pay 5 help. Your teammates may spend resource tokens to aid you. That's pretty cool. And then we've got the locations that you're going to be going to while you're playing the game, and you'll see the movement cost, which if I'm not mistaken is going to be the cost to get there, and then different tasks and things that you can do at the location. Some look like they can be done infinitely. Perhaps they've got a set time. At this point, I have not played the game, and we will definitely be doing a gameplay overview after this once we get this to the table, so don't worry, you'll get some nice clarifications. We've got the cloudy tokens here. 5 in value of 1. The check tokens that just say that you've succeeded on something. And then, as we talked about earlier, we've got just the different tokens, friendship, we've got knowledge, and work. So these are the components. You got to see them before I get them sleeved up and get to the table. During the gameplay overview, they'll probably be sleeved. It's not always the best, but I definitely want to make sure to protect this game because it's a deck builder, and the card stock is pretty good, but I'd like for it to last a longer time. And with that being said, I'm going to be back in a flash. So Julie, what did you think of My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria? Now, you're the one that knows this IP, maybe not this specific iteration as it's the most recent, but you did grow up with My Little Pony. That's why we're reviewing the game.
I don't know that I grew up with it. Actually, when you pulled it out, I was like, I haven't played with a My Little Pony in probably 40 years or close to it. So, I mean, some of them look kind of familiar to me.
Applejack.
Yeah, and the pink one. I don't remember their names.
Pinkie Pie.
So, I mean, I don't remember that well. That being said, it was still interesting to have, I would say, a more girly IP than what we've been playing. We've been playing a lot of of your IPs. We played some G.I. Joe.
Yes.
We played some Power Rangers. We played, what else? Transformers.
But don't forget, we also did The Princess Bride and Wizard of Oz. Although The Princess Bride I like more, that still kind of falls into a little bit of a girly IP. And Wizard of Oz is all you.
Yeah. So anyways, that being said, I can't say I remember it. I can't remember much about, and I don't think the show was out when I was playing with My Little Ponies. They were just the ponies. That being said, it was fun. I mean, I always, I've said a couple of times, I like when there's, colorful little blingy things like this. So this, this is nice and it's good quality. First thing I said to Jason is, these are not my ponies. They don't look like my ponies. They've got very different looks to them.
I did explain to her, I go, well, this is the most recent iteration, so they're going with what's popular at the moment.
So that being said, it's different, and it feels like My Little Pony, and there are, lots of fun, cool, different, basically different powers, different features to the cards. And, I love deck builders. I've always enjoyed them and we're pretty good at them, especially the cooperative ones. So, it was fun. I like the mechanic where, you have different things that you can do, at the different locations, but then once you've done it, they're done. It's like you can constantly do it. That makes it a little bit harder to, achieve the challenges.
And you do have more locations that can come out, but those will only come out after you have, gone ahead and completed all the different locations.
So good quality components. Jason's already gone ahead and sleeved it.
It's a deck builder and it's an IP that you like, so I wanted to make sure it would be sticking around. I also figured it was a family-friendly IP, which it definitely is, and this is a family-friendly game, so it makes sense to want to keep it around.
Well, and it's funny, we really didn't talk about it much in the intro, so I'll talk about it now. 14 and above seems pretty old for me. I would see 8-year-olds being able to play this game. It's not that complicated. Yes, there's a certain amount of difficulty depending on how many situations that you put in. But we've definitely played some harder deck builders.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about the situations and the way the difficulty scales in a moment. I will agree with you. You can definitely go for younger players. I think the reason why it does say 14 and above is this game commits what is usually a cardinal sin of deck builders. However, it gets away with it. There are 3 resource types. Actually, 4 resource types. You've got your movement, you've got your help, you've got your info, and you've got your sugar cubes. And if we think back to the first game that was reviewed on this channel, you played it. You weren't on the review. It was me and Sammy G, which was Scott Pilgrim. And we basically tore that game a new one for having 3 resources and just not being balanced. So I want to give this game full credit. The fact that there is a variety of resources and they're all useful and you can do different things actually is not that bad and works to the game's favor and is a strength of the game. Now, it does make things a little bit more complicated, which is why if someone hasn't necessarily played a lot of games or played games like deck builders, that they might want to be a little bit older. But I agree with Julie, an 8-year-old or younger kids with adults assisting them, as this is a cooperative game, will not have any issues playing this.
Agreed.
So really like the fact that it did manage to pull off the different resources.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add. I mean, there are, I would say again, not all the ponies are created equal. Their starting abilities. Some of them, as we learned, are a little bit better than others.
Yeah, I have to say, I've got Rarity right now, and flip and return 1 sugar cube to the supply. They give each player a +2 info token. Yeah, not a great ability. We were really needing to get a fair bit of sugar cubes. So getting rid of one, detriggering ability, not so much. Rainbow Dash not being able to generate a sugar cube was fairly challenging, but her ability, at least with the extra 2 movement, was very useful because it cost help for +2 movement tokens for everyone, which was a fairly powerful ability. Mm-hmm. Now, we were talking a little bit about the situations, and I want to just discuss the difficulty of this game, because I did talk to some people online that said the game can be fairly challenging. Our second game was definitely the most challenging one that we had. We did make 1 or 2 mistakes in the rules that did kind of go in our favor. I don't think we would have necessarily lost the game. It might have been a little bit more of a struggle, but we got a lot of situation cards that came out rather quickly, and we didn't have the resource tokens per se to defeat them. And that's one of the things that is a little bit more complicated. The fact that other players can help, but only with resource tokens. It does mean that the cloud cover on the final chapter can go up rather quickly, and that can trigger some fairly negative effects. It also will depend on what cards you've gotten, because we had some situations that were difficult to handle just because we didn't really pull any cards that had a fair bit of movement. We also didn't get any cards that let us thin our deck, so we're hoping we get that right combo to come out to handle those specific situations. Now, using Ponyville and some of the different resources and the locations, we're able to deal with it, but it wasn't easy. Now, the last game that we played and the first game, which we only had 4 situations, they weren't all that challenging. And I really think that the difficulty of this game is going to be, unfortunately, a little bit of a random scale. You can try to control it with the amount of situations, the levels of difficulties of the final chapter, and you can always scale the difficulty with the different what are those? The hindrances? I forget exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
The hindrances, by having them be all level 3s. But if you're playing it based on the standard setup, I can't really say whether you get
sorry, you meant the chaos?
No, not the chaos. These are called the hindrances. And then there's the chaos that comes out with it. So, but in any case, the difficulty will be random based on what comes out of the chaos deck, what you've got in here, and just how that all comes together. So that will be a little disappointing to some people, because it'll be a little bit more difficult to get that sweet spot of, I'd say, a game that you will be able to be challenged by, but also defeat. I think it might end up on the scale if you're going to be playing a really difficult game or a game that's going to be potentially more on the easier side. I don't know how you feel about that, Julie.
Yeah, I mean, the last game we played, it felt like all the situations came up at once, and that was that was very challenging. But, that's part of the randomness of deck builders.
Yeah. So that was the only thing I wanted to address. Other than that, I'm going to agree with Julie. Good quality components. I like the art. The art is definitely taken straight from the show. It does feel like some of the stuff may have been drawn specifically more like the pony cards themselves. And I actually had a lot of fun with the game. What you're doing in the game is very family friendly. It's accessible. This is the kind of thing that I can see as easily playing with the little guy. This is also something that I can see playing with, some of your friends' kids. And I really think that this does have a place in our collection. Now, you may be wondering if you need to get some of the promo packs that come with this one. Well, we didn't get the promo packs for My Little Pony. They are just meeples to replace the standees. So, cool, but definitely not necessary. But overall, I have to say, I like this game, and just going to let it be known, this is not my least favorite of all the deck builders. Unfortunately, I think the IP that is probably my favorite is my least favorite of all the deck builders. Now, I'm not quite sure which one is 1 and 2, but this is comfortably sliding into the 3rd spot. And if you're wondering why I said 4 deck builders, Renegade Games currently has 4 deck building games based on IPs that are being published right now.
So are you ready to give it a score?
I'm ready to give it a score, but this is your IP. This is the game that we got for you. Take it away. I'm wondering what you're going to score this.
It's a solid 7. There is definitely some randomness. Yes, it's an IP that I played with as a child, but it's not my most favorite IP. There is still some pretty big randomness and some big discrepancy from the powers that come from the different players, which take it from being an 8, I think. But it was a lot of fun, and I agree with you. I think it should stay in the collection.
So I'm going to agree with Julie. I'm going to give this a 7. It's a very good deck building game. It's fun. Like I said, the randomness and the lack of control in terms of difficulty and scaling is something that I think is going to frustrate some people, which is what also lowered it from like a 7.5, 8 down to a 7. It's a solid game. I do think that some of the complaints we have may be addressed in other expansions. There is one out currently, and the second one should be released before the end of the year. So Renegade Games is just cranking away on these deck builders. If you like any of the 4 IPs that they got going on, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, you should definitely check them out. Because so far, I don't think we found one that we've absolutely despised. There's just one that we wish was a little bit more fun.
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria, make sure to check out those feeds. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, great Canadian game store. Click the link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. It's a great way to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase will be returned to us. So check them out if you're looking for anything from Renegade Game Studios, Adventures in Equestria, or even some Kickstarters or Kickstarter exclusive. They do those as well. You definitely want to click that link because they got lots of great stuff there. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie, I'll take you back to one of the other deck building games. I'll let Julie decide which one should it be.
We haven't talked about G.I. Joe in a while. So.
All right, so it's going to take you back to G.I. Joe. We're going to contrast with the very guy theme and the very girly theme.
Exactly. So we're going to grab our drinks.
And grab our best friend. Oh, by the way, I do know there are guys that love My Little Pony. They're called bronies, and that's totally cool as well.
We're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. And I should have said grab my best friend, but I'll grab my fellow pony lover. It works.